take a moment and guess what will happen when I drop this ball. The very fact that I'm asking you to guess might give you pause and make you think for a minute. Not because you have any question that the ball should and would, under normal circumstances, fall down and out of frame. Rather, you might be priming yourself for some sort of magic trick or video manipulation. And if the ball did anything but fall straight down and out of frame, that would be pretty solid proof that some sort of trickery is involved. If the ball did exactly what you expect, though, and fell down and out of frame, what would that prove? Aquinas thought that it, both the ball falling and the fact that we know that heavy things consistently fall down, was part of an argument for the existence of God. The fifth of Aquinas' 5 ways of arguing for God's existence is introduced by him as taken from The Governance of the World. It makes explicit the argument that he and his contemporaries widely accepted that the consistent activity and tendencies of natural objects required some intelligence, not to move them directly necessarily, but to govern and arrange their natural motions. He argues, we see that things which lack knowledge, like natural bodies, work for an end, which is clear in that they always, or for the most part, work in the same way, in order to obtain what is best. Hence, it is clear that not by chance, but from an intention do they reach their end. But that which does not have knowledge cannot tend towards an end unless it is directed by some knowledge and intelligence, as an arrow is directed to its end by an archer. Therefore, there is some intelligence by which all natural things are ordained to their end, and this we call God. Many modern readers of Aquinas find the very first line of that argument difficult, that things work for an end. It is clear that I work for ends, maybe even that my pet dog does sometimes. But rocks or water or clouds, do these work for ends? I have touched on this in a previous video, arguing that the kind of working for ends or teleology that Aquinas is starting from here is simply the regular tendencies and patterns that natural objects follow, like the fact that lambs eat grass, flee from wolves, and grow up to be mature sheep. Apple seeds sprout and grow up to be mature apple trees. Like charges repel each other. Balls tend to fall down. While scientists may not use the language of teleology in their work, they presume that nature exhibits these consistent tendencies and patterns as a starting point for doing science at all. Even if we accept that there is this simple form of working for ends, though, the second claim that Aquinas makes can seem just as troubling. That things without knowledge, animals, plants, and inanimate objects, only have their tendencies because they are directed by some knowledge and intelligence. The image Aquinas gives of the arrow directed by the archer is helpful in part, but can also lead to some confusion. When the arrow hits the bullseye, we attribute that to the intention, the knowledge and skill of the archer. But the archer is also the immediate, efficient cause of the motion of the arrow by acting on it with force. Is Aquinas claiming that all irrational objects are simply pushed and pulled around by God, like a puppeteer pulling strings? Absolutely not. While some motions can and should be attributed to the external activity of an actor, like the archer shooting the arrow, other motions occur spontaneously due to the nature of the object involved, like the ball, which, when not prevented, spontaneously falls to the ground due to its mass, or the sheep that flees the wolf by instinct. Aquinas argued that, in the order of nature, no specific external efficient cause was needed to explain these natural motions. But he did think that something was needed to explain why they had these natural tendencies at all. If you ask me, as a physicist, why the ball falls when dropped, I would reference the fact that it is an object with a mass that is very close to another very massive object, namely the Earth. We know that a smaller object quickly tends to move towards a much larger massive object when they're very close together, even if our explanation for that tendency has changed over time, referencing perhaps gravitational forces, gravitational fields, and more recently, curvature in space-time. This would be an explanation for what the natural tendencies of bodies that have masses are, and there are interesting philosophical questions here about the nature of gravitational motion that have puzzled scientists and philosophers since the time of Newton himself. Here, though, Aquinas is asking a different, deeper question. Not why do massive bodies fall, but why do massive bodies consistently act in any way at all? He's not asking what the laws of nature are or looking for the particular equations of physical motion. He's not asking what massive objects tend to do, why they end up collecting in large heaps in galaxies, stars, and planets. He's asking why massive objects and similarly charged objects or apple-like objects or sheep-like objects tend to do the same kinds of things, why they tend to end up in somewhat similar stable states at all. By what principle are there consistent natural tendencies and consistent patterns of action and reaction in balls and electrons and apples and sheep at all? Why is it that nature is the sort of orderly place that scientists have any chance of studying at all? Aquinas argues that nature is too regular and consistent in its activity to be the result of pure chance, and that the only tenable answer is that some intelligence must be responsible. Returning to the argument of the Fifth Way, it is clear that there are consistent tendencies in the natural order, that things tend to act for ends, even if that language sounds strange. But the fact that there is consistent order in the natural world at all, whatever that order may be, requires some explanation, some intelligence to explain it. Therefore, Aquinas argues there must be some intelligence outside the physical order that organizes and establishes the natural tendencies we take for granted. And this sort of organizing intelligence is exactly the role that we attribute to God. This short sketch of an argument that Aquinas presents at the beginning of the Summa is open to further questions, some of which Aquinas takes on elsewhere in his corpus. For instance, why does he claim that inanimate things act for the best? Or why should there be only one intelligence directing things, and not many? And why should this intelligence be omniscient, personal, or loving? Some of these questions will be dealt with or have been dealt with in other videos, but for now, I want to conclude by noting how Aquinas' Fifth Way looks at the rational order in nature, made so clear through modern science, and does not see this as a threat to faith and divinity, but sees that order and consistency as a sure sign of the intelligent God who created it. For readings, podcasts, and more videos like this, go to Aquinas101.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for one of our free video courses on Aquinas. And don't forget to like and share with your friends, because it matters what you think.